Hey everybody, welcome to Verified Investing. My name is Paul Sampson, and today I'm joined by self-made real estate entrepreneur Greg Dickerson, best known for his career in the real estate industry and soon to be known for his upcoming course here at Verified Investing, the Real Estate Wealth System. Greg, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Paul. Good to be here.
Awesome. We're really happy to have you. Really excited to kind of take a deep dive into just who Greg Dickerson is, take a look at our upcoming Verified Investing relationship, as well as take a deep dive into the upcoming course.
Awesome. Let's get into it.
All right. Well, first off, Greg, could you just give us a brief overview of your background and your journey in the real estate industry, especially for those who may not be familiar with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm a serial entrepreneur, real estate investor, and developer. I went in the Navy right out of high school, did not go to college. That was 1985 to 89.
Wow.
After I got out of the military, worked a number of different jobs, in the construction and restaurant industry. In 1997, I started my entrepreneurial journey full time. I moved to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Started a little remodeling handyman company in 1997, built that into a $30 million building company in 7 years, started 12 other companies along the way.
Amazing.
While I did that, I exited that first company in 04-05, reinvested all the profits from all my businesses and from the exit of that company into real estate. So I just, grew and scaled my businesses, grew and scaled my real estate investing portfolio. But, the neatest thing about it for me and why I'm doing this course and all the things that I do, sharing my knowledge and experience, is that I started with absolutely nothing.
Right.
Nobody in my family were business people. None of my family were entrepreneurs. I'm just a, natural born entrepreneur. So when I was a little kid, I was very fortunate. My dad taught me if I wanted something, I needed to figure out how to get the money to get it. So if I wanted whatever it was, karate lessons, a surfboard, whatever, he said, well, that's great. Go figure out how to get the money. I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? He said, go knock on doors.
Figure it out.
Do whatever you got to do. Figure it out. So I would knock on your door. Hey, Paul, my name's Greg Dickerson. I live down the street. I need to make some money. So I'll cut your grass. I'll rake your yard. I'll walk your dog. I'll watch your kids, wash your car. What do you need done? I need some money.
It's incredible.
So I learned at a very young age, where there are problems, there's opportunity. So I would look for yards where the grass was overgrown. People or yards that were covered in, leaves or pine needles or, whatever, cars that were dirty. So those are the doors I knocked on.
Yeah.
So I identified at a very young age that the way to make money is to find problems and solve them. During that time period, I learned how to become a leader, delegator, motivator. Once you're dialed in and you're settled in and you learn how to become that leader, delegator, motivator, which is a lot of what I teach in that course, you can live a great lifestyle while building great businesses and doing a lot and investing and doing other things and serving your community and
right.
Being there for your kids and your family.
Right. To kind of move to the educational side of things, just as you kind of went through a moment ago, how did you educate yourself as far as real estate goes?
Yeah, so when it came to real estate, I learned by doing, number one. So I was a builder, and I was doing renovations, remodeling and renovations at first, and I was working for other people that were buying houses. I was down in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. These were, short-term rentals, and they were buying these houses and closing in the ground floor and adding pools and, renovating the houses and putting them in the rental program. So I started asking them, why are you doing this? There's all kinds of things you could do. These people were heavy hitters. A couple of guys were number one and number two at Citibank. A couple of people were successful developers doing commercial and residential development in other areas. They were coming to the Outer Banks and buying these beach houses. Some of them during the dot-com boom were cashing out of the stock market and buying beach houses and renovating them and building houses. So I just started learning from them what they were doing and why they were doing it. And that's where I learned about tax advantages of real estate. I learned about investing in real estate and cash flow and all these things I didn't know. I had no idea. So I learned by working with them and learning what they were doing. Then I started buying books on real estate investing, the different types, and courses, and started educating myself through that. And then I just went out there and started taking action. And my first real estate deal was a little lot flip that I did that a friend of mine who was a realtor found a lot. He said, hey, if you put up all the money, we can buy this lot. My dad has a client that'll buy it from us. We can flip it to them. The market was escalating and make, $30,000 or whatever. And I think it was a $100,000 lot. And I said,
right.
Really? We can do that? He said, yeah. I said, that's legal? He's like, sure. So I said, okay. So he did all the work. I put up the money. We split the profit. I made, $15,000 or whatever it was in 30 days off of that $100,000 that I'd put up. And that's when the light bulb went off. That's when I really understood the value of land. And what I did after that was every time I made any money, I put it into land and I started creating lots to build houses on. So I would make money flipping the lot to my client, and then I would make money building them the house, and I started getting into residential construction. And then ultimately I started just doing my own projects and, didn't build for anybody else. Started doing spec development. Then I started doing more land development, started doing commercial, things like that. And then, I did do some joint ventures with some other developers that kind of taught me the business. In fact, I did some deals with somebody that was a developer out of Northern Virginia who really took advantage of me and my inexperience and cheated me. That was the most valuable lesson I ever learned because he taught me how to build spec houses, but he cheated me out of about $250,000 on 5 spec houses we built together. So that's a whole nother story, but it was a great learning experience. And it really launched my, my career in terms of a spec house and builder in that market. So, I was bittersweet about it, but, great learning experience. So that's really how I got started. And even to this day, I still educate myself. I'm always reading, always listening to stuff, always learning from people.
Very impressive. Yeah, it's excellent. And all those qualities are definitely what, anybody that's going to be seeking an entrepreneurial journey needs to, embody as well. So let's discuss the developing relationship here with Verified Investing. So how did you first learn about Gareth Soloway and his team here at Verified Investing?
Yeah, so Gareth and I started by doing interviews a couple of years ago during the pandemic. So I had people asking me to kind of share my, perspective and knowledge about trading and about investing. I got in the markets the first time in the bottom of 2009.
Yep.
I got them in at the bottom of 2020. Crypto was on the rise, and I really wanted to warn everybody about the top. So I was the guy screaming from the rooftops back in 2021. Gareth and I both talking about the bear market's coming, the Fed's tightening, it's risk-off environment. And, we caught a lot of heat back then. That's when Gareth first really got out there, and he was catching a lot of heat from the crypto community because he was calling for, that sell-off of Bitcoin, and nobody thought Bitcoin was ever going to go down.
Right.
So we started doing, a couple of interviews here and there. People really enjoyed our dynamic. And, I would talk a lot about as a entrepreneur, starting and buying and building companies and exiting them, somebody who invests in real estate, I really follow the macro. So I really follow what the Fed's doing because it matters. I follow where rates are because it matters. I follow where the treasuries are because it matters, and the dollar and geopolitical events around the world, because all that matters to liquidity. At the end of the day, what drives markets, whether it's real estate, financial markets, whatever, it's all about liquidity.
Right.
So I always have been a macro follower, especially since 2008-9. That's when I really dug into the markets and to the macro as a student. So I've been studying it all since back then. Now I'm no geopolitical expert. I'm no macroeconomist. I'm just an entrepreneur and investor.
Right.
And I educate myself and I take these perspectives. So that's how we met. We started doing interviews, and Gareth really appreciated my knowledge and expertise on real estate. And he said, hey, we've got Verified Investing. I created some courses for trading crypto and stocks. He said, I would love for you to joint venture with us and create some courses on real estate to pass on your my knowledge that I had to everybody in his community and to the world at large.
Excellent. So full disclosure, that video that you guys did back in 2020 was, I actually saw both of you back then. That was like the first time I ran across both of you. And I remember those videos very specifically. So yeah, there's really some good stuff for anybody that, got the pleasure of joining back in that time frame.
Yeah, he's too busy and famous for me now, but that's okay.
Yeah, I know, right? Awesome. So why did you decide to work with Verified Investing? You kind of answered a little bit there, but I guess as far as digging in a little bit deeper into, what is motivating you to, produce this course for the people.
Yeah, so I'm very careful about who I do business with. And there's very few people that I do business with. So I watched them, vetted them. I looked at Gareth's course, went through them. They're very good. They helped me. I doubled my account this year just by going through his course and some of the things I saw there that I wasn't looking at. So those helped me greatly. And they have a quality team. They've got a really great team here, and they have really good content. So I'd created some courses already. It was just me sitting down, talking to the camera and just videoing, just kind of getting my knowledge and my content out there. But they weren't well produced. They weren't great. They were good enough and,
right.
To kind of get it out there. But this is next level stuff. So I saw what Gareth was doing, the team that he built, and the people he's surrounding himself with to provide other content. So he's trying to pick the best in the field out there who operate with integrity, who operate with, honesty, who know their stuff. I mean, true experts, and without all the fluff and all the junk that you get, a lot of times. This is just real, where the rubber meets the road, practical, tactical information, his courses, my courses, the other courses they're creating that you can actually take, put into action, and change your life.
Incredible. Excellent. Yeah. Really looking forward to see how that's, going to blossom. So we've mentioned the course, multiple times so far that is in development at the moment. I understand you're currently working on this course here with Verified Investing. Can you provide some insights into the motivation behind creating this course? So, once again, we've kind of covered a little bit of this, but what was the motivation behind, the specific structure that, you're in the middle of here?
Yeah. So, people have reached out to me my whole career, for advice, right? Want to pick my brain. They want me to help them. And I love helping people. I'm somebody who gives back. I want to impact the world. I want to help other people change their lives so they can impact their world around them. And, the way these courses developed and the way it came about and the reason that I'm doing that is for that reason. Gareth has the same heart. He wants to help people. He wants to impact people. And, the way he put his course together in 3 stages, really brings people along in trading. So we took the same approach for real estate, although it's a little bit different, creating that residential course for people that, want to get into residential. We also have commercial multifamily investing, which covers syndication and raising capital. We have a real estate development course. So it covers pretty much everything in real estate, everything I've done. And again, what's really cool about it is I started from absolutely nothing. So these courses kind of cover my journey, everything I know, everything I've learned over the last 30 years doing what I've been doing, all the different types of real estate deals, real estate structures, all the different things. Plus, I mentor people all over the world,
right? Mostly
in the United States, but I have people outside the United States. And I had a lot of people that wanted me to help them, but couldn't afford the mentorship, because that's a certain level that requires a certain level of individual to be able to afford that program. So, I wanted to have something that was accessible for, the world at large, for people, and people can use these courses all around the world, because real estate that's one of the questions I get all the time. Real estate is the same. The principles and the fundamentals are the same all around the world. Mm-hmm. The only thing that's different is the geography, the culture, the rules, laws, and regulations. But at the end of the day, it's income and expenses. It's ground up, outside in for development. It's location. So all of those principles apply everywhere. And I've worked with people, like I said, all over the world, doing real estate in different parts of the world, including the United Arab Emirates. And, they're building houses and spec and doing the same kinds of things we do here, just different language, right, different terminology, but everything else, pretty much the principles of everything are pretty much the same, especially, leading people. So we put these courses together specifically for people to start from anywhere. You can start with no knowledge, nothing at all, or you can start at higher levels, just like a lot of my clients that I coach now in my mentorship program did. Some of them were already sort of successful. Some of them started with absolutely nothing, but they're all getting phenomenal results. And the other thing that's really cool about these courses, in addition to the structure of the residential, commercial, and the real estate development courses, we include downloads, spreadsheets, documents, contracts, deal decks, all of those things that people need. So it's a complete system. But what's really, really cool is I did some exclusive interviews just for this course, probably about 14 or 15 of them, with some of my top clients that I'm mentoring around the country, all different types of real estate strategies, all different types of backgrounds, races, religions, everything. Just a whole different, grouping of people doing all kinds of different things at very high levels. Some started with nothing, some started a little bit more than others. So I did exclusive interviews with them about what they did before they got into real estate, why they got into real estate, how they got started, from their first deal to where they are now. And we drilled down into the details. How'd you find your property? How'd you get the funding? How did you raise the money? How did you exit it? What did you do next? And, the whole 9 yards. How do you generate leads? How do you get investors? So those are so powerful and transformational, because they're people just like you, just like I was, at different levels. I have medical and dental professionals in there. I've got professional athletes. I've got people that started with absolutely nothing. Showed him how to do a residential real estate flip with no money out of his pocket, made 60 grand on that deal in like 3 or 4 months. Wow. Went on to make a couple $100 grand that year. He'd never made more than like $40,000 entire life.
That's incredible.
And then I have people that started at $100 million assets and under management, raised about 20 or 30 million. I taught them in a couple of years how to raise about $120 million and do, almost $1 billion in assets under management now. To this day. And they tell their story and their journey. That was 2 doctors. Mm-hmm. And it was just the 2 of them when they first started. Now they got a team of 20. So we go through that whole process. Who did they need to become? How did they do it? What kind of team did they need to build? What did their company need to be, need to look like? And how did they do that all along the way? So those interviews are just unbelievable. They're so powerful. And then all of the content and download resources, all that. So it's a complete system that people can follow to take them to whatever level they want to go to.
Right. That was my next question is this something that's more so targeted towards beginners or so, someone who's a little bit more advanced, but it sounds like it's going to cater to a wide variety of just anyone and everyone.
It's going to cater to a ton of people. And I get people that take my courses and then reach out to me for mentorship that have been doing stuff and, had experience, because again, all you know is what you know. You don't know what you don't know. And the big thing is, you never know where that one idea is going to come from. That's all it takes is one idea. I had that one idea in 1997.
Right.
There's a problem. I need to go solve it. That made all the difference. That one idea. So you never know where that inspiration or that idea is going to come from that is the complete game changer in your life. So if you go through any course, not just mine, any course, any book, any, seminar, any interaction or conversation, pay attention, because that one idea, you might even already know it. It might be a strategy you already know, but you forgot about. It might be a technique that you've used, but you just didn't know how to apply it to this. It might be just that one thing that you've been thinking about. And then when you go through a course like this and you hear from these people, now that gives you the power and the confidence and the freedom to go out there and take action and put that stuff into action. So for me, the one idea is all it takes to completely change the entire trajectory of your life. It's happened to me over and over. It's happened to every one of my clients that I work with, and they all get it in one interaction, one phone call. The light bulb goes off and they're off to the races.
Excellent. Yeah, it's incredible what we can do out there for sure. What would you say are some risks or pitfalls that an investor might face if they haven't had an opportunity to take the real estate wealth system course?
Lack of education. I mean, the number one thing that really ruins people or destroys business is lack of education. I told you, I got taken advantage of when I first started out because I didn't know what I didn't know. Had I had the education and been prepared, I would have been able to arm myself with knowledge, and I would have done a little better in that situation, and those things wouldn't have happened to me. So, anytime that I have, either failed at something or were not successful at something because I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't prepare. So the number one thing, it's just like if you're going to build a house, you need a good set of blueprints, but more importantly than that, you need to understand the process. You need to understand, all the different things that go into it. So it's really that lack of knowledge, that lack of preparation, lack of understanding, and think you don't need help or think that you don't need these things. My entire life, everything I've done from an entrepreneurial standpoint and business standpoint is all because I educated myself. I mean, it started with books and then, taking action out of those books and putting it into action. I changed my mindset, and then I took that information. So, you think it, you speak it, you do it, but you got to have the input. The input is going to equal the output.
Right.
So if you have no input or the wrong input, you can't expect a different output.
Right. Could you imagine what your life would have been if you had some internet back in the day, like when you're starting off and just hitting the ground with books and, you didn't really have the outreach and the exposure that you have today? It's wild.
I already know. 2 doctors that started with, very, very little, $100 million assets under management. In 2 years, went to almost $1 billion, raising $20 million to raising $120 million. I had people that were flipping houses that I coached. They'd been flipping houses for 6 years, never made more than $200,000 doing that.
Right.
After a 6-year career, within 1 year working with me, because of what I taught them and what they were able to learn, going through my courses, they ended up doing $1,380,000 in 1 year. Wow. Never made more than $200,000. 1 year because they didn't know what they didn't know.
Right.
And that's all it takes. It's just, one deal can change your entire life when it comes to real estate. One single deal.
Yeah, just like the markets, crypto and stock markets as well. One right move or being on the right side or, getting in its tops and bottoms. Great. Well, as far as, relevance, right, for the course. So, over time, this course will be, produced in, this time frame right now. So over the next coming years, assuming that updates are made, the real estate's a dynamic field with evolving trends. Could you share some strategies or methods you've used or will use to ensure that the course content remains relevant in the ever-changing market structure for years ahead?
Yeah. So real estate is timeless. There's nothing new under the sun. Real estate is location, it's income, it's expenses, it's ground up, outside in, it's knowing your market. So the principles and the fundamentals of real estate will never change. They are what they are.
Yeah.
The only thing changes is the rules, regulations, and guidelines. So you can't really ever anticipate that. You just need to learn them and keep up with them as you go along. So these courses are evergreen. They will always be good, pertinent forever, all around the world. What does change is the business cycle. So the economic cycle of interest rate, environment, the lending environment, those are the things that change. But all that being said, we will be adding updated content as we go along and get feedback from people. And then, if things do change significantly, then we're going to keep these, updated as we go along and things like that. But really, at the end of the day, there's a lot of noise out there in the real estate industry, like stocks and crypto.
Right.
You have all this, these new things like, like astro flipping or wholetailing or wholesaling. Those aren't real things. In real estate, we've been assigning contracts since the beginning of time. Mm-hmm. That's a wholesale, a signing of a contract. You can do that with business, real estate, leases, anything. If you have a contract for anything of value, you can assign that contract to somebody. So somebody came up with this marketing idea. Let's call that wholesale. Let's put a course together and sell it. That's never going to change. Wholetailing, that's just buying a house and putting it on the market in the MLS in front of, all the realtors and just retail listing a house. People call it wholetailing.
Right.
Well, that's something that's been happening since the beginning of time, since the beginning of realtors, right? So, that's the thing about real estate. There's a lot of silver bullets out of there. There's a lot of flashy stuff out there. It's all the same. There is nothing new when it comes to real estate. Everything you see in creative real estate has been done since the beginning of time. One of my first mentors was Carlton Sheets, that taught wraparound mortgages and sub-2 and owner financing and lease options and rent-to-own. He taught all that stuff back when I first started reading his books 30, 40 years ago. And he was teaching it 20 years before I got a hold of it when I was a little kid. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's where a lot of all this stuff comes from. And then they just repackage it, put a bow on it. The difference is what I'm teaching is real stuff. There's no hype. There's no gimmicks. There's no funny names. I tell you what these things are, how to do them, how to implement them, and how to use them with all types of real estate in any market. That's the cool part.
Incredible. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how this really comes through. And like, you know, for myself, I tend to pay attention for the macro on the housing market, especially, and then I transpire that into a lot of cryptocurrency analysis. So I'm really excited to learn all this from you. I mean, just the information alone that we've just went through over the last, you know, several minutes here has just been very impressive. Yeah, so very exciting stuff. Greg, I think that concludes our interview here, and I really had a really great time with you today discussing your background, getting, you know, just the wealth of knowledge that just, you know, came from you just since we've been sitting down today. Really looking forward to seeing the partnership grow with Verified Investing, and then to see, you know, just how, you know, the course does when it comes out. I'll be probably first in line to take it myself. So be sure to head on over to verifiedinvesting.com and follow all of our socials to keep up to date on all the exciting upcoming courses and information that we have coming soon. We'll see you in the next one, everybody.